Today I want to discuss a parable that Jesus spoke about. Specifically, I wanted to talk about Luke chapter 16, starting in verse 19. And I wanted to read from a couple of verses, mainly the beginning of the story, and kind of unpack the rest of the story and see how it fits in our day-to-day lives. Luke chapter 16, starting in verse 19, says, "There was a certain rich man that was clothed in purple and fine linen, and he fared sumptuously every day. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gates, full of sores, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. And it came to pass that the beggar died, and the angels was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried." Starting in that story, specifically, when Jesus would speak about parables, he wouldn't specifically name names. And this particular parable, we know about the rich man, and then we also know about Lazarus. Jesus actually specifically named Lazarus in this story. And really what it gets me to think is possibly Jesus could have known this Lazarus and known his story and really took heart to it. And that's why he felt the need and felt the importance to tell this parable to his disciples. And there's a rich man who had it all, and really loved what he had and really treasured it, and really that's what he put his heart into, and that's what he put his desire into. And then you see the rich man who was sitting at his gates and who was begging just for the crumbs that would fall off of his table. And in my personal life, my wife and I, we've been blessed to be stewards. There's a family that owns property, and they've allowed us to be stewards of a self-storage facility. And they've allowed us to take on the responsibilities of managing this property. And we've been here for over 4 years now. And for the first couple of years, I wasn't a believer. And it was difficult now that I am a believer to see how I missed so many opportunities and so many things that I could have used for God. But now that we are believers, we have Lazarus at our gates every day. In our life, normally when people come into our lives, it's not the best of situations. We see a lot of homeless, we see a lot of veterans that are going through periods of time where they don't have a home. We're seeing, I guess you could call them beggars at our gates, if that's what you want to call them. And over the course of being here the last couple of years, we've really made it a point to turn our lives into, basically turn our backyard, because we live on the property, into our ministry. We want to be the rich people that are rich in the kingdom of heaven and knowing God and being with God. And we want to be here for the people that feel like they're without God, and to be an encouragement for them, to see that when they can't see Jesus, maybe they could see a little piece of them in us. And so this story really hits to our hearts here. We've really turned our home into our ministry. And, I kind of got away from the story a little bit, but I wanted you to know the background and how we have the Lazarus at our gates every day if we just open our eyes to it. And the rich man in the story, he didn't open his eyes to it. it comes to pass in the story that both of the men die, and Lazarus is taken to Abraham's bosom, his land. And at that period of time, Lazarus just happens to be, if not the wealthiest person, one of the most wealthiest persons, because God has been guiding him and is looking and protecting him. And that's where Lazarus went. And then we come to find out that the rich man was taken to hell. And when he awoke, he looked up and just felt the torment. And he asked Abraham, please, let Lazarus take his fingertip and cool it off and cool me off. And Abraham said, no. While you were living on the earth, you had the good things, and that's what you cherished. And Lazarus had bad things on this earth, but now he is comforted in the center of God's will. And so that's why my wife and I are so blessed to be in the center of God's will. We've tried other things. We've tried to have our ministry be in certain other areas. We've tried many ministries, but none of them were as satisfying, and none of them were as fulfilling as what we do here. And actually, we've never been more in the center of God's will and knowing it, because of all the other things we've tried, but God has us here. And so we plan to stay here. And we plan to see those Lazarus every single day of our lives, and to open our arms to them. And if there's something that I could encourage you with today, is to know the Lazarus that are going out in your life. There's always somebody that could use a hand. There's always somebody that could see a piece of Jesus in who you are. And it comes to pass that everything we have here, it's all temporary. Life is temporary in itself, in the short amount of time that we have here. And so we need to take the time to really make the most of our moments here, whether it's with our friends, whether it's with our families, whether it's with the strangers. And being in the center of God's will and knowing that you're in the center of God's will, it really brings comfort. It really brings, because people tell us all the time, you live on a place where your backyard hosts 900 people. We have over 900 people that we could reach out to. And if they don't know Jesus, we could let them know about the gospel and why Jesus went to the cross. And then if they know who Jesus is, but they need to be restored, we could be there to fill them through the glory of God. And, there's been a lot of different things that have happened in our area, dangerous things that have happened in our area. But the number one thing is knowing that if you're in the center of God's will, that's the safest place to be. And so in your life, just reflect, am I in the center of God's will? And am I being his hands and feet daily? And we're definitely here not to push any kind of religion. We're not here to make you change your life and your culture. We are here to basically let you know about a relationship with Jesus. You don't have to change who you are. God meets you exactly where you are, and Jesus saves the messy. He saves the dirty. That's what he came here for. And so just be encouraged with that. Pick up your word daily. Read the scripture. Let God fill you. Know his heart, and pray to him daily, and let him speak to you, and let him fill you, and may you be blessed with your walk with God. I wanted to leave today by inviting you to start a relationship with God in your heart, to start a walk with him. Romans 10:9 says that if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, and you believe it in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. So my prayer and my hope is that you'll pray that prayer after me, and that you'll start your walk with God, and that you can know His presence and know the grace and know the mercy that a relationship with Him truly brings. God bless you, and I look forward to seeing you soon.